Hello, and welcome to my workshop. I'm Andy Anderson. Hey folks, when it came time to cover my RC aircraft, I had to make a decision on which way I wanted to go. So I looked at the model I wanted to go after. I actually purchased all the graphics for it, and then I went ahead and chose a color to represent that full-size model. So I picked out a Mylar film, much like a monocoat, that can cover the aircraft, and I purchased enough to do this whole aircraft plus probably another. I got it color matched to a automotive paint color. You can see it on the cowl and here on the cabane struts and even on other pieces that I've already painted to match this Mylar film. When I got down to it and started looking at the color, I said, that color just doesn't work for me. It doesn't match the color that's on the full-size model that I was going after. So I started looking for another product to do this with. And I said, well, what dawned on me is these aircraft on full size, they're covered in something. So let me go find out what that is. Well, it's cloth and sometimes metal. So on this particular aircraft, which is a Pitts S1 that I modeled after that full size aircraft, is this front end from the canopy forward is really metal, and I wanted to have it to appear that way. So I knew I was going to make this area up in here, the fully sheeted areas. I was going to make that covered with fiberglass cloth and resin, and I use a peel ply at the end to make it much easier to fill and sand and make ready for paint. But when I'm done with that, history has it that it'll look like metal. So when I go ahead and paint on my automotive two-stage paint, the base coat, clear coat, it'll match. It'll be whatever color I come up with. It'll look like a metal finish underneath. So I started looking at what other things do they use on full-size aircraft to cover with, and they use on this particular aircraft they use a cloth covering, and I discovered that there's a lot of manufacturers out there that will do cloth covering for certified aircraft from end to end, and they produce a product line that they can certify with, as well as videotapes and manuals and information helplines and whatever, plus a lot of YouTube videos. And so I did a lot of research on it, and I came up with some products that I wanted to go ahead and try. And what I read and learned was some of them are pretty odorific. They will smell up a workshop pretty quickly. What do? I go ahead and buy some, test it. Got it here, tested it on some fabric that I had, and man, it does smell up the workshop. Not anything that I want to do. I work in an enclosed workspace, heated in the wintertime like it is now. I don't want to open the doors up and air it out. I don't want to wear a respirator. It's just not my idea of fun. So I'd heard about a product line from Stewart Products, and their stuff is waterborne, so it cleans up with water. It doesn't smell up the workshop, so it says. So I said, well, I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. And I ordered 2 of their products based on what I saw online for a full-size aircraft, certified aircraft, and had it shipped to me not by Stewart, by another product manager. And it got held up in shipping, actually in St. Louis, for about 4 or 5 days in the middle of the winter, freezing at about 10 degrees outside. Because this is a waterborne product, it can't sustain being frozen. The Stuff got to me. I opened up the box. It was cold inside, said right on top of the bottles, do not freeze. I had no indication whatsoever that it didn't freeze. So I contacted the seller, told them what my problem was. They agreed, can't use it because you just don't know. So I sent it back. Still wanted to try the Stewart product line. So I got a hold of their tech support, and their tech support guy was Marty, and he was a wealth of information, very, very helpful, answered all my questions, guided me down the right paths. And he said that much to my surprise, because he does full-size aircraft certification, you can see a lot of videos of him on their website. I didn't have any inkling that he would be knowledgeable or helpful in the model aircraft arena. He was very helpful. He guided me down a path of actually 3 items is all I needed from Stewart, which was their lightweight fabric, which is it's a 1.8 ounce per square yard covering, which is about the same weight as a fiberglass cloth that I'd be using for doing this covering here. So it's not a whole lot different from that. Difference is it's got a really tight weave to it, so the filler for that weave is much easier to do than it is for fiberglass cloth. It's a SF104 is their product number. They're also known as Seconite. It's a lightweight cloth fabric that is, for our benefit, 72 inches wide. That's awesome for us because I don't have a covering system that I know of that's attainable easily for our aircraft that is 72 inches wide. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to put seams in our coverings. So that worked out really well for what I can visualize for this aircraft. The second item in his line that he recommended was EcoBond. So EcoBond is what is used to adhere the covering to the aircraft. And I went ahead and got 1 bottle of that to his recommendation. And as it turns out, it goes a long way. You don't need much. So the third item that he recommended was a product called Eco Prime. They got their bonding agent, Eco Bond, you got their primer agent, Eco Prime, and that goes on after the bond. The idea is we're doing lightweight stuff. Take, for example, the ultralight aircraft. They follow the same path that Marty had sent me down. I think that's why he knew about it. And so that they don't get certified either, just like we don't. But they use the lightweight fabric for their use and the Eco Bond and the Eco Prime. One thing they don't use, and he said I don't need to use for my model, is another product that they sell that is in line for their certifications, which is EcoFill. EcoFill is an intermediate product between EcoBond and EcoPrime. They have to have that for their certification for UV protection. Much like the ultralights, RC aircraft, we don't see sunlight at any kind of periodicity that the full-size aircraft do. So for their certification for flight, they have to use EcoFill. So I went ahead and purchased, as he recommended, getting the Eco Prime White. I'll explain why on that in a minute. Got it here, started testing it. I went ahead and built a test panel that represents the aircraft I'm working on. It has some sheeted area to represent this sheeted area so I can cover it the way I wanted to. Some open areas across the rib that represents the wings or even tail section, so I could test that. And then I put the lightweight fabric over top of it, put around the perimeter and like they recommend, using EcoBond, put it in place, shrunk it down with an iron, or with an iron, and they recommend for this 250 degrees Fahrenheit. To go to certified aircraft, you have to go to 350 degrees, but I was told don't go over 250 because it's not necessary. If I were to go, which I did test one piece, if I go to 350 degrees on an iron and go over the covering, it'll actually break a frame like this. It'll shrink it so tight it'll break it. So take that into consideration when you're doing your aircraft, because you can do the same thing there. You can actually break framework if it's not well protected. You stay at the 250, it's a really good temperature range to go ahead and do all this. So I did this because I wanted to test lots of different things, many aspects of what I'm going to be using on this aircraft. And the part of it was, can I get the fabric down? Can I get it shrunk? Can I get some simulated rib stitching? That started appealing to me, so I wanted to do that. And different sheens and different coverings and different primers, automotive primers, both high build and both regular primer, gray, white. I've tried everything on this, masked everything off as I went along so I could see the different stages of it. I documented it on the way so I know what I'm looking at. And finally went to their Eco Prime and shot primer on this and found out it covers pretty quick. It'll go over stuff pretty quick and create a white base over top of everything. Very little necessary to spray with my spray gun, and it covered very well. It also sands very well. It dries very rapidly. It sands very well using 320 grit open coat sandpaper, and you only bring it down to a small amount of sanding, and it's done and ready for paint. I went ahead and tried all my different stitching methods you can see online to create a simulated rib stitch, and came up with what I particularly liked, and I'm using that now on this aircraft. So this worked out very well to make that pattern, that test board. So highly recommend it. And so from there, started taking a wing panel that's open structure, open frame, and said, well, let me try it, see if I can get another wing panel to come out and create the primed and ready for paint structure. So here it is. I went ahead and did another wing panel in their EcoBond with their SF-104 covering, and put on my rib stitching and applied that on there, and went ahead and finished covering it like recommended for the EcoBond. And this is what I've ended up with. It's really nice. It's real easy to use. It goes very rapidly. I was able to take, because of the 72-inch wide fabric, I was able to lock it down on the trailing edge on the bottom, wrap the whole cloth around to the trailing edge on the top, pull it tight, seal it down with EcoBond around the whole perimeter, tighten it up with 250 degrees of iron, and put on my rib stitching, finish filling up with EcoBond everywhere, and this is what I come up with. It's ready for the Eco Prime. I'm not going to do that yet because I want to wait for all the other items to be finished. So this is ready for Eco Prime. Then I can go to sanding and straight to my automotive paint base coat. So I chose this to do this, and as I was going along, I was sharing it with some of my friends, and local and distant, and a friend of mine up in Connecticut that I was showing, he was really interested in it. His name's Lenny Buffington, we've been friends since the 70s, and because I've moved away, we no longer have that ability to easily share ideas and thoughts in our workshops and bust each other's chops along the way. But he still wanted to know how to do this. And he said I could go ahead and create a video that would help him and hopefully others. So I did. And that's why I'm doing this, to go through steps along the way, multiple videos to show how I accomplished the end result of this aircraft. I think it's going to turn out to be spectacular. So thank you, Lenny, for pushing me to do this against my comfort zone, and go ahead and put this out for others to learn from. One of the next things I'll be showing is the tools and product that I've used on my workbench to do that wing panel. And then I'll be doing another wing panel after that. I want to do a demonstration on how to do rib stitching and how I accomplished that. I'll follow up later with the overall covering of the Eco Prime. And by the way, the Eco Prime will cover any substrate. So I'm looking forward to covering this whole aircraft: metal, fiberglass over wood, the cloth from Stewart, the SF-104 cloth. I'm looking forward to covering all that with Eco Prime. And it's a white primer that will, instead of trying to use the automotive paint to cover up different sheens and shades, this white primer eliminates all that and creates a common covering of white, so that you don't have to use many coats, which will save us weight. So please keep watching, asking questions, providing information, sharing along the way. I look forward to it. Let me know if there's anything I can answer. Have a good day. Thanks.